Hey, this is your boy, Pastor Troy, Dr. Troy, and we're on Embrace Radio, WPEB 88.1 FM. Pastor Troy and I are excited to be with you today. Excited to talk about some topics that are current and near and dear to our heart, as well as talk about topics that help us with our relationships, with our families, raising our children. We are just excited about all the things we can wrap our arms around and embrace here at Embrace Radio. Excited to be with you today. I'm your boy, Dr. Troy, and I'm here with my girl,
Dr. Trina Davis.
and we are excited about Embrace Radio today. Listen, today we got some topics that we want to talk about today that we think are very important, especially this current event that's going on right now in the city of Philadelphia. We're talking about the cop shooting yesterday down around 15th and Erie in Philadelphia, PA, yesterday, and it was a sad, sad state of things. Dr. Trina, I mean, what were you doing when you heard about the shooting? Like, what was going on? What were you doing? Were you studying, reading? What were you doing?
I was actually reading and listening to praise and worship music, and the kids were home. And little Troy was like, "Mom, turn on the news, turn on the news." And I'm like, "Okay, I will. I'll get to it." And then he was like, "Okay." And then I happened to go tap on Facebook, and then I saw the post about it, and then I started watching it live. And then he got excited again. "Are you watching this?" I'm like, "I'm watching it on Facebook Live."
Wow, it's crazy. I mean, just to hear that someone would open fire in broad daylight on the police,
Right.
with cars around, pedestrians walking around, people in their cars driving through, just totally open up fire. I mean, I don't even know what I would be thinking, what would be on my mind, knowing that had you been in that area, had the kids been in that area, that somebody decided to become an open shooter and fire on police, but as well as firing on police, firing on anybody who was pretty much riding through. I think we saw a picture of somebody's windshield on Facebook who had their windshield shot up. So, I mean, just think about it. What would you be thinking in some situation like that?
Well, it's crazy because even if you don't think your people are down in the area, I think your mind goes somewhere when you hear stuff like that. I know I called my mom later, once I knew everything was fine, and my mom was like, "I was just about to call you to make sure y'all was all safe and in the house." And I'm like, we're not even down that area, like, but I understand. She might have thought we took a ride down the area and something could have happened. And she was like, "I'm so glad you called me because I'm looking at the news and, they said something about a daycare and I was concerned about Trinae." Now, Trinae works in Sharon Hill, ma'am. But, that's where your mind goes. And then even more, she saw somebody walking the kids that looked like Trinae on the news. So if she couldn't get in touch with me, she'd have been like, "My granddaughter's down there."
And it's just crazy because I'm thinking, like, probably people probably would think, well, what part of the city is Pastor Troy and Pastor Trina? Because we're always traveling, we're always riding around,
Right.
we're always doing something, always going to visit somebody, visiting the sick, going to the hospital. We have members all over the city of Philadelphia. So it's very well something like that could have happened. Now, the gentleman's name, do you have it? I think we had his name.
I know you were calling him Malik, but I think his name is Maurice.
Maurice Hill.
Hill.
Maurice Hill, they say he's 36 and that he has a military background and has an extensive rap sheet. And it's just crazy to think about this. He's being served a warrant. And I think my mind automatically went to the desperation that somebody would have to have, or were they on drugs, or whatever the case may be. When you think about the cops are knocking on your door to serve you a warrant, and the next thing you know, you open fire. Like, what level of desperation do you have to have? I'm not going back to jail. I'm not getting locked up. I'm not like, was it fear? Was it anger? Like, so many emotions run through my mind
Right.
about what a person could be thinking. Not too long ago, somewhere around Long Lane in Upper Darby, years ago, the cops knock on a door at a gentleman's house, and he opens fire and blows the person's face off.
Absolutely.
You're just thinking, like, what are you thinking? What kind of level of desperation do you have to have? How bad is jail? Since I've never been, the person like, I ain't going back.
Right.
I ain't going back. I just, talk to me.
I mean, of course, that was the first two things that went through my head was that, one, he's probably in a mentality of, I'm not going back to jail. Of course, I've never been to jail, but I have quite a few family members that have been in that place. And, their mindset is that's a horrible place. They don't want to go back. And then when you watch movies, that's the mindset. So even if sometimes that seed is planted that like once you're out, you're not gonna go back and you're gonna do whatever you can do to stay out. And then secondly, I was like, maybe he was high, maybe he was drinking. You know, your decision making faculties are impaired, so you don't always make the best decision. We don't make always best decisions in fear. Like, you know, something happens and you're not thinking straight, so you're scrambling. You know, so if somebody has access to those type of guns and they're recognizing they may be under the influence or not under the influence, you're fearful. I can see people just doing the crazy things, and then once you make that one small mistake, it's almost like a snowball effect.
Snowball, like I gotta go hard.
I gotta go hard. I can't stop because I didn't already put like his first instinct might have been, you know, I'm gonna scare them. Maybe they'll leave and run, which is not the great thinking because you're dealing with a cop. But once you do that and then you realize, hey, I didn't wave the gun in the face. Then I push the trigger. You know, I done shot at some people. Now some people are barricaded here. It's almost like a snowball effect.
Well, here's what's crazy. What I was thinking too, like, I don't know why this happens with people, and we just gonna keep it real because it's Embrace. We talk about it. Mm-hmm. The questions start flying: is he black? Is he white?
Absolutely.
That's the first thing. Like, is he a black shooter? Is he a white shooter? You know. So color plays a part from who's shooting. Why we even care about that, I don't know. But the second part of that was color stops being an issue when people are being shot at.
Absolutely.
Like, you know, that whole white cops are bad, they treat, you know, black people bad and all that. That kind of went out the window because you're thinking about these guys have families, they have children, they're being shot at. You know, nobody wants to see somebody get killed or shot at for just doing their job.
Right.
You know, serving a warrant, and then, you know, so it's just crazy how the racial lines are there.
Yeah.
But they don't seem as important in some aspects. In other aspects, it's like, you know, black people think white people don't black people don't open up fire on cops like that in broad daylight and start shooting people and barricade themselves in a house. But come to find out, it's a brother that's doing it.
You're not lying, because the first thing when I'm watching it and I'm listening, I'm like, my mind just, I'm keeping it real. My mind was like, it's North Philly. Some boy down there then did it, and my thought was he's black because it was North Philly. And then as time went on, I started being like, I want to know, is it terror? Is it a terrorist? So then I started thinking, well, maybe just because it's North Philly, like, don't think like that, Trina. Just because it's North Philly don't mean it's a black guy. Because they said warrant for drug arrest. Narcotics. That's just that's just what I know. I'm sorry. Right. You talking about North Philly. You talking about sending a warrant for narcotics. My mind went, he's black.
Or maybe Hispanic.
No, my mind went black. That's the first thing that went to my mind. North Philly. Right. And then the place 15-minute area, I was like, he's black. It's narcotics. Sorry. Then after a while,
crazy, right?
I know. So I know a lot of people are thinking about that. And then after a while, I was like, well, it could be a terrorist. Like, oh my gosh, what's going on? You know, he's shooting up people. And it went, in my mind, went a little farther than what I expected, because now he's shooting up a whole bunch of people. It's not pointed. It's not just cops. I'm letting out. And then I had heard something about allegedly that it was like in 30 minutes, 100 rounds had went off. So I was like, oh, this might be terroristic.
Yeah, because you're thinking like, you know, what's average gun is like 15, 16 shots. You letting off 100 rounds, that means you're reloading. Like, you're taking the clip out, put a new clip in, taking the clip out, put a new clip in, taking the clip out, put a new clip in. And allegedly it's a AK-47 or AR-15, you know. So, you know, I'm going to interject this. This might take the conversation a totally different direction. I hope it doesn't, but it may, just because we're going to say it. But, you know, Pastor Trina and I are licensed to carry.
Right.
So that's a whole nother conversation. You know, Pastor Troy and Pastor Trina are licensed to carry. That's right. Pastor Troy got a Glock, you know, got Springfield, you know, 45, you know, and I was actually in the market for a Mossberg pump shotgun and also an AR-15. So, you know, just so you know, I've been searching the internet, looking at them, understanding them, and one of the
got trained.
We went to gun training. We went to by a former SWAT police officer, sergeant, who does the classes in our area. Thank God for Sarge. does classes in our area. So we went and got formal handgun training. I know how to clean it. I know how to reload. I know how to take it apart. I know how to do all of that. I also understand that if I ever have to discharge my weapon, then I ought to be not only thinking about discharging my weapon to the thing that I'm trying to hit, but what it can hit after it hits the thing I tried to hit. Where that bullet's going to go after that, and having to be responsible for every bullet that comes out of that gun. Knowing the difference between having a full metal jacket and a hollow tip, like all that stuff, you got to know, and it hit me one day when I was actually going to get my gun license. I was there in Media, PA, and there was a lady that probably was about 68 getting a gun license. And I was thinking, what the heck? This lady's 60, and the line was around the corner to get a gun license. Yeah. So we ain't talking about, because you don't need a gun license to buy a rifle in Pennsylvania. Right. So I go buy a rifle, a shotgun, but we're talking about people who are going to get licensed to carry concealed weapons in the state of Pennsylvania. This lady had to be somewhere, and I'm not joking because she was definitely a senior citizen because she said she was a senior citizen. Absolutely. So she was over the age of 65. When we went to the gun range, we saw kids in the gun range, 17, 16, with pink AR-15s, shooting 4 or 5 clips out, and hitting the target on. So you just start to think like...
You do. It's so many people out there, and I'm reading the comments, and, a bunch of comments about Ranisha and Lauren talked about how it was so bad back there. They had to say, leave her car. Ranisha had to leave her car at her mom's house, and had to get somebody at 11 o'clock. She couldn't leave till 11 because she was kind of trapped down there, and she had to get somebody else to.
11 o'clock is when
11 o'clock at night. She couldn't go home till then, and Lauren knows the area well and was giving us some updates on the information. But one thing I wanted to say, that's what made me go so kind, was that I don't want anybody to look at this and say because Pastor's got a gun that I just need to go get a gun. That's not what we're saying. Because Lauren was like, I decided to go get my license. I went back and forth, so I don't want this to be the deciding factor for anybody. It's definitely something you need to do in prayer. You need to know yourself, because they really did inform us that there's a lot of decisions that go through with if you have to defend yourself with a gun that I never thought you would have to. You thought that just somebody got a gun and they're shooting at me. Listen, or somebody's I'm being attacked. I'm gonna get my gun out and do it. There's so many things that you have to be aware of, and there are decisions even in the clear split second decisions, and then literally after you do that, God forbid if you had to do that, it does not mean just because they were coming at you and they had a gun that you're in the clear and the free, and you're not going to have to go through this whole process of defending yourself and proving that there was no other way to handle that situation. So some people that are hot-headed, have bad tempers, you got to know yourself when it comes
don't need a gun.
Having that thing. So I'm not trying to put this out here just go get a gun because Pastor Troy and Pastor Trina got a gun. No, we heard the voice of the Lord, and we are in certain scenarios where we have to protect ourselves in travels. And not only that, the police force.
Now you just guys in trouble, right? Because you said something, and then there's going to be tons of people that's going to be on Facebook you heard the voice of the Lord. What do you mean? The Lord, Jesus didn't have a knife. Jesus didn't have a gun, but Peter had a knife. Peter was carrying, so he concealed.
And I believe that the warriors, David and all of them, they had weapons. They was not throwing fruit and apples at their enemies. So I'm just trying to tell you that this is what we were in some scenarios where we had to protect ourselves. Some things went down without going into detail, and the police force told us that somebody from our church, if not definitely us, should be licensed to carry.
The police department said, Pastor Troy, you might want to think about being licensed to carry.
Just because of some of the things that were happening, the shootings that have been happening in churches, and we're just going to protect God's house and God's people, So I'm not saying that this is something that people should do. I just want to put that out there.
Well, I'll say this. When you look at the scenario, and this is one of them, you hear the NRA conversations and the rifles and the assault rifles and why are they necessary and all that kind of stuff. And you start to think guns have never jumped off a table by themselves and killed somebody.
Absolutely.
It is the motive of the person that has the firearm that makes the decision to try to kill somebody. This gentleman had the ability to just open the door, be served a warrant, go to prison peacefully without all that stuff. And he decided, I'm going to open up fire. guns blazing, black, white, wouldn't matter what color he was. He fired on people who weren't firing on him. You know, he wasn't protecting himself. He wasn't trying to guard himself. You know, it's just crazy. Do you have, you might have to go to it really quickly. We looked at, it's called ChristianPost.com. And ChristianPost.com had looked at a statistic from the Justice Department, and it talked about the 4 reasons, 4 things that happen that are similar with every active shooter or mass shooter that's been out there. Could you talk about those 4 things real quick?
Sure. Number one, the vast majority of people that experience being mass shooters, they usually have experienced early childhood trauma or are exposed to violence at a very young age.
So this is based on them going back and looking at the case, the court case, the psychiatric evaluations after the mass shootings have happened. They find out that some of these people have some early childhood trauma or had some kind of connection with some type of violent act prior to them doing this. So the desensitization of pulling a gun out and shooting somebody is not there. You know, so now, you know, we have all kinds of conversations right now. You'll start talking about stuff like Grand Theft Auto, video games, movies, you know, the total,
The Purge.
Right, the Purge, the total desensitizing of our nation around pulling the trigger.
Yeah.
So, like, I grew up, just so you notice, like, this is not something new. I grew up with Roy Rogers and Lone Ranger and Buck Rogers and Star Wars. There was always guns and violence and shooting. You know, that was especially for a boy, that was part of, like, our whole thing. We pulled out our swords and pulled out our knives. You had cowboys and Indians. You know, you did all of that stuff growing up. So I don't know if there's a new desensitizing, because we played with guns. And my gun was silver, and it didn't have a little orange tip at the top. And then my other gun was a revolver, was black, and had cap, the little red cap thing you put in the revolver, bat, bat, bat. You know, that was.
Let me ask you this: was it of the same level of crazy that it is now? So some of these games that are out now, they weren't out there. So it was every aspect. You see different movies. The movies have gotten so much more violent. So although you played with guns, you weren't constantly bombarded with it's okay to shoot. Like, it's almost like if you shoot somebody, they're gonna just get up and keep walking.
It was okay to shoot the bad guy.
Right, back then.
It wasn't just like the graphicness of the violence that we see on TV and movies now is just at a whole nother level.
Absolutely.
You know, and you know, I don't know if guns were less glorified back then, because like I said, I had a revolver, I had a rifle, but it was like you shoot the bad people, you shoot the bad guys. The bad guys are the enemies. You know, and the crazy thing about it is usually the bad guys in the cowboy movies were darker skinned.
Wow.
And then they were the Indians most times.
Right.
You know, or they were the Africans on Tarzan. You know, when they were shooting, so it was usually the darker skinned people were getting shot, which is crazy. When I'm even talking about it right now, think about it, it's like that was the situation. Then you had the white bad guy who had the black hat kind of syndrome. But, you know, the mindset was guns were prevalent. Army movies, all of that. Like Rambo.
The A-Team.
Yeah, the A-Team. Like, it wasn't, you know, it wasn't less violence on TV. It was less graphic.
Yeah.
Got it.
You didn't see as much bloods and guts, and I think that's the part where you see people guts being open, heads being blown off, you know. But if you take movies that won Academy Awards like Saving Private Ryan, it took graphic fighting scenes to a whole nother level.
Right.
You know, hand-to-hand combat. I told you one of the most gruesome scenes that I've ever seen that's embedded in my mind is from Saving Private Ryan, when him and the guy, they're fighting upstairs, and he's literally driving the knife down into his chest with another soldier outside who could come in and help.
But it goes back to what you said. That's the enemy. That's not, you know, the boy down the street. That's not, you know, the person in the car on you know, whatever that game is where they got the old ladies and they call
Grand Theft Auto.
Right. So, you know, it kind of desensitizes your mind that it's okay to run grandmama over if she walking across the street too slow.
And so, you know, Let's talk about your mindset about the purge.
Right.
How you feel about stuff like the purge, and starting to look at the graphicness of like shooting each other, like shooting at the cops,
Right.
shooting somebody you don't like,
Right.
shoot like the purge. Listen, the purge is about a day of being able, 24 hours of being able to kill whoever you want, and it's legal.
Right.
So even though this is a fictitious movie, like this is the mindset
Right.
that I don't like you, I don't want to take this warrant, I don't want to go to jail, I'm gonna open up fire.
Right.
You know, and it's like this is where our country is at. Like we're really, people are angry, pissed off. We don't know the backstory to Mr. Hill's situation. I don't think that any backstory would help qualify him opening the fire over 100 rounds
You just had the daughter.
in the street.
Just had a daughter.
2 days prior.
You know, so we have a personal situation with somebody who did something crazy. You know, I know somebody who did something crazy, who went in somewhere, kidnapped somebody, you know, was pistol whipping people, and then thought that they was gonna leave out of that place healthy.
Well, they said that they had text messages between him and his girlfriend, and he was telling her, baby, she was like, stop shooting, they're going to kill you. He was like, get yourself, put on something nice, we're going to get something to eat. Like, I don't know if he was joking, he realized, you know, this is my end is coming close, or was he really serious? Like, I'm going to be okay, I'm going to leave this thing. When I finish with all these rounds of ammo I have, that I'm going to leave, and we're going to spend the rest of our day chilling.
So that leads me to another part of this, and we're going to stay in the same topic, but like mental health is real.
Yeah. Because
Like-
when you look at number 2, is what you're talking about. They said the number 2 thing is that nearly every mass shooter, reached an identifiable crisis point in the weeks or months leading up to the shooting.
And now I'm gonna take it to a spiritual conversation. Like, how many people have I talked to in a month who are in crisis? How many people that I talk to are in crisis, and we know they identify being in crisis, and they'll be delusional about it. Like they'll act like they're not in trouble, or everything's cool. It's like you're not cool, and cool people don't lay in the bed for 4 days and don't wash and they don't do that. You know, people that's cool answer texts back, and they pick up the phone and say, "Hey, I'm okay." Something to that nature. Like it's just
those things just lead up, and it's small things, and before you know it, you know, you're laying in the bed, and that's why depression is so real. And you know, I just been doing the whole thing that I'm probably gonna be talking about sometime tomorrow. Just with depression is there's so many factors that go into that, and like you said, you're not cool when you let those small things. That's why you gotta be okay with going to get the help. You know, talking to somebody when you feel those feelings. Don't just push them off, because a lot of times those are the things that when you get something that if somebody's possibly spiritually in tune with God, those things help. They're not dealing with small depression areas, that when that life crisis happens, you're able to handle it better. So you get a diagnosis of cancer, so your mom dies, or you know, it just gets too rough for you, you having health issues. Those are the things, life-changing crises that happen that cause those depressions and all those other things just add up.
And even the fact that maybe there was all kinds of telltale signs that he was right at the edge. You know, he has an extensive rap sheet based on what they're reporting. So a person that has an extensive rap sheet shouldn't have, and I'm reading it, a Smith & Wesson .357 caliber revolver and a .45 semi-automatic, and somehow AR-15 or AK-47 allegedly. So it's like you shouldn't have those things in your possession. Now, we talked about the straw laws that are out there where you can buy something for somebody else. You know, people buy stuff for other people, put it away, hand it to them, or they buy them on the street illegally. But like these high-powered assault weapons are on the street.
Yeah.
You know, and it was crazy because Sunday, in the middle of the preaching, I talked about choices, and I talked about fear. Like some of us don't understand that, you know, thank the Lord that you wasn't at the Walmart when a mass shooting happened, or you wasn't at the nightclub when a mass shooting happened. Like people take for granted that everywhere they go, that they are safe, you know, and that people who are disagreeable in this day and age and the climate of our president, who clearly has some divisiveness. He causes division with his conversations. And I want to say the Senate has divisive conversations. The House has divisive conversations. The cotton picking church has divisive conversations. That we have such a divided nation that we get up every day thinking that everything's going to be cool, and we're not paying attention. Our head is not on the swivel.
Right.
We just think that our day is going to be hunky dory, and somebody walks into Walmart and decides, I'm going to shoot the whole place up. Somebody walks in a movie theater, I'm going to shoot the whole place up. I don't like black people, so I'm going to shoot up this giant. Or I don't like gays, so I'm going to go in this club.
Right.
I think it was, I have the date and time here. Really quick, I'm going to just shoot to this. So let me just show you, just so we can really think about this. Hopefully this comes back up real quick. Yeah. So in October 1st of 2017, 58 people were killed in Las Vegas. That was the guy that was in the hotel that decided he was going to bust his window out and take a high-powered Army rifle and shoot down in a crowd of 22,000 people who were minding their business going to a concert. I'm sure when they got up that day, they were not thinking that some lunatic or somebody, lunatic meaning just crazy, angry, deranged, or somebody with mental health issues, or somebody who just had a nervous breakdown, or somebody whose wife just sent them a text saying, I'm taking the kids and I'm never coming home again, that person was going to go to a hotel with a duffel bag full of armor, artillery, and open fire. He wasn't thinking that. 49 killed June 12th, 2016 at a gay nightclub in Orlando. This person walks in the club, and the other thing I think that, go back to that list again, because I think the third thing was most of them had a manifesto.
The third thing is that most of the shooters studied the actions of other shooters and sought validation for their motives.
So they were like, I'm going to see how somebody else did this.
Right.
And then I'm going to copycat that, and then I want to figure out what my motive is. So in some cases, like in this case, it was about gay people. I'm gonna go and I'm gonna shoot up a club full of gay people because I don't like gay people. I don't want gay people around. I don't want them doing what they're doing. And we live in America where we have the right to disagree and still be peaceable.
Absolutely. That's why I get so upset about these movies and different things that happen, because when you're dealing with the movies, they get the ideas from that. So I'm sitting in the movie, off topic, and I was just like, who thinks of this? Why are we watching this type of movie? So we don't realize that sometimes people are creating these movies and planting seeds in people's mind, like it's okay if they do X, Y, and Z. That's on TV. That's not reality. But when people have life-changing situations or crisis or in depression, they don't always think like they should. So when they see something, they begin to take that for themselves.
But there was, I know that Omar Mateen, there was all kinds of manifestos, stuff written, things said, kind of prior to what he was going to do, how he felt. Some of those things are out there. And then this guy takes an AR-15, and you might not know what an AR-15, like what you can do with an AR-15, but you can literally disassemble an AR-15, put it in your pants leg, and walk into a movie theater. Like literally, you can take it apart. You can take a whole AR-15 and stuff it down your pants with a big jacket on, and get away with it if they're not winding for metal detectors at the movie theater. So he walks into this place and he just opens fire. He goes into the bathroom where people have decided to go and hide and just opens fire. Like, I don't think that we are really cognizant of, so people are still going to baseball games, football games, basketball games, like all kinds of stuff like that. If somebody comes to the door of the Sixers game with an AR-15, the security guards are not stopping them. They're going to run. Because those security guards are not armed. Now, hopefully a cop will get there fast enough. But if you walk into Section 285 and you open up fire, how many people are going to die? So it puts us in a position where people start to be afraid. People start to be worried. People are scared. People are fearful on a day-to-day basis about, these mass shootings. And they're happening back to back. Well, America's just having them. You talking about 2017, November 5th, 2017. You're talking about June 12th, 2016. You're talking about October 1st, 2017. You're talking about February 14th, 2018. You got 17 killed, 23 killed. You know, we're not talking about injured.
Killed.
Thank the Lord, hallelujah, that the six cops were just wounded. One got hit in the head. Like and he still lived. Like that's the power and the grace of our God that allows. And then the shooter himself doesn't end up dead.
Right.
He comes out of the house, surrenders.
I said, my kids, and you just shot all those cops. I talked to the kids. I was like, I'm praying for him. I'm praying hard because this may not end the way he's expecting. Because depending on, because at the time I didn't know if it was one person. I was like, depending on how they come out the house, if it's multiple people running at the same time, they going try to protect their lives. So you can have saying you surrender, you know, or whatever. But if you're running, the cops might begin to start to shoot, and then to find out it was one of them. You know, that's the grace of God, you know, really protecting them. Here's the last one that they said, which was the fourth thing that most of them have in common, and that is that they all had the means to carry out their plans by obtaining weapons legally, illegally, or from family members.
Yeah, I mean, it's as deep as I could probably order a gun off Amazon and have it shipped to my house. And as long as I keep it indoors, I don't have to worry about it. And I don't think that assault rifles should be that easy to obtain.
Right.
I mean, one of the guys that killed 12 people on May 31st, 2019, in Virginia Beach, it says that he mailed his resignation letter to his job that morning, citing personal reasons. Like, I'm done.
Right.
So that's the average person that gets up. Like, it used to be called going postal. Now it's going everywhere.
Right.
Like, you don't just go postal to the post office. The post office used to have them kind of stressful things going on. But like, I mean, it's getting really, really scary.
It was funny because, you know, when I saw this picture late last night, you know, I think you saw him first, and I was like, babe, they showed us picture. You said, yeah. I said, who he look like? What he look like? You said, average Joe walking down the street. Like, and you know, a lot of times people are watching or listening from the radio, watching on TV, and hearing the news, and they're like, well, what does that have to do with me? Like, you never know when somebody is 2 seconds away. You know, even it checked me because I'm one of the people, I used to get really hyped and have road rage, right? And the Lord really delivered me from the road rage, but I still have the residue. Like, I get very frustrated when people go crazy, and especially because I can't say what I used to say. I lived a new life, so I can't say what I want to say. And, you know, my new thing is when they start honking the horns, I honk the horn crazy back at them. So that's my way. And Lil Trey was like, so what's that, your cuss? You can't cuss, so, you know, you just gonna honk the horns. And I was like, they honking at me, I'm honking at them. But, you know, yesterday, it just kind of put a whole new light on. You got to control that, because you don't know if that person is 2 seconds away from, I'm getting ready to blow up the whole world, and you honk the horn back at them out of anger and frustration, and next thing you know, you and your whole family shot up. Like, when you could have just took on the chin, it's a honk, and keep on driving. It's not somebody punching you. It's not somebody, we got to defend yourself. And I think we don't think about those things because we're just frustrated, and we don't realize that people are walking around 2 seconds away from snapping.
Yeah. We're going to take a break right here. You are watching Embrace and listening to Embrace Radio with your boy, Dr. Troy, and your girl,
Dr. Trinity.
Here at WPEB 88.1 and streaming live on Facebook. We're going to take a break. Give us some music, man, so we can go ahead and talk this out a little bit on the other side.
Y'all on Facebook, let me see what comments we got. People just tuning in and watching and seeing what's going on. I was so thankful for every cop that made it out. You know, they always say that cops are horrible and, you know, it's just a horrible time, but just to know that they were protected and serving, they had families, you know, the family members were running in the hospital, worried about them, and just to know that God covered them. They were there to protect and serve. Nobody used excessive force. From what I know, I wasn't there. I didn't watch the whole thing. I had things to do, but from what I saw, it wasn't crazy. So I'm just thankful for the lives that were saved. One cop, they said, wasn't at the shootout. He was trying to get there and was in a car accident. So is one of the people. He wasn't injured from a gunshot, but he was injured going to there.
Yeah, it's just important, man, that we pray for our law enforcement, pray for our police officers, pray for our city, pray for our public officials. No matter what the situation is, no matter what it looks like, there's a few bad apples, or maybe even a couple bad apples in a basket, but that doesn't mean that all the apples are bad.
That's right.
And I know that most of us, when things go wrong in our life, we dial 911. We expect the paramedics to come, we expect the police officers to come, and we expect them to protect us from whatever evil is in front of us at that moment. And so we need to be praying for them, man, and asking God to cover them and watch over them. Pray for our mayor, pray for our city officials. As crazy as most of us believe that our president acts from time to time, we need to be praying for the White House, praying for Congress, praying for the Senate, so that we can cause some sanity to show up in that house. Yeah, you see comments? Go ahead.
Yeah, Mr. Corey said that assault weapons need to be banned. Period.
I agree. I'm not gonna argue that point. I don't think that you should be able to purchase an assault rifle, AR-15. I would be willing, if I had one, to give mine up.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't have any problem doing it if I had one to give mine up.
Absolutely.
So it's just, that's.
And they have to also be, you ban them, but they got to get tighter on the illegal sales of it, because a lot of times people are getting it to combat what's out there, and I think they should be banned all way. But it's always something slipping through, going through the illegal market.
Well, we know that he didn't buy it illegally.
Right?
We know that he didn't buy it illegally. We know that he bought that. They gonna play Control right there. They have to go to church right there. Don't do that. He's in control. Yeah, listen. In this situation, he was in control. But I mean, illegal firearms, all those things need to be taken care of. And if we can't crack down on them, if you're found to have them, you ought to be prosecuted.
Absolutely.
Especially if you aren't supposed to have them.
Absolutely.
People with a criminal record should not have firearms at all. So.
Absolutely.
All right, we're going to come back in a couple of minutes. This is Embrace Radio 88.1 WPEB FM. We'll be back in a couple seconds. Which close that segment out? What's up? It's your boy, Dr. Troy and Dr. Katrina on Embrace Radio, WPEB 88.1. Listen, let's get right back into this as we get ready to close out that segment and start a new one, a lighter one. I will say this. When you start looking at other countries and the numbers of mass shootings in other countries, you start to say, why don't other countries have the same type of situations that we have in, the United States? And there are a lot of mass killings and bombings and terroristic situations. I think that there's a difference between a terroristic situation and a domestic situation that gets out of control.
Right.
And I think that in other countries, some of the laws are a lot more stricter, and then there's more gun control in those places. We often talk about, when we was talking about moving to New Jersey, and we were like, we can't move to New Jersey because we can't take our guns with us. You go to New Jersey, we take our guns and put them away when you get ready to go to New Jersey. You do not want to get caught in New Jersey with a firearm, whether it's in the trunk, bullets somewhere else, don't matter. You cannot carry in the state of New Jersey at all. And if you are caught with a firearm, I don't care if you are an 85-year-old school teacher, you may do 5 years.
Absolutely.
Flat. And I think that's the type of situation that we're going to start to see that happen, kind of blanket
a little
on
bit
us.
more severe, you would find that people would be a little bit more cautious in what they do. Because I know, when we're carrying, whenever we're traveling, I'm like, where's guns? We know we're going to Jersey. We serious about that thing.
Yeah.
You're not going to get me on I forgot, I didn't remember.
Mm-hmm.
It's important. Your life depends on.
Well, the crazy thing about it is, in turn to that, we went to Delaware to get crabs.
Right.
And everybody in the restaurant had a gun on.
Right.
I said everybody in the restaurant, and it wasn't concealed.
Yeah,
it's sitting on their hip. Because PA is an open carry state, except for Philly, you gotta have a license. Right now, you can open carry a firearm in PA, I believe. And if there's if there's any police officers on this line or anybody who understands the law, I believe you can open carry in the state of Pennsylvania without a license.
Yeah.
You can actually wear your gun on your hip openly without a license to carry. But if you're going to wear it concealed, then you have to have a license to carry the firearm.
Yeah, in the first rate city.
Right, in the first rate city. So Philadelphia
would be one, right?
Yeah, Philadelphia first rate. So you gotta have a license to carry if you're gonna have a firearm in Philadelphia. Now the crazy thing about it is, like I said, we went to Delaware. We in the Walmart. Everybody got a gun. They walk around with guns on. Ain't gonna be a whole bunch of mess in Delaware. I'll tell you right now, ain't gonna be a whole bunch of mess at those Walmarts. Right. It ain't going down.
You see it's too many people in there that's strapped.
No, I was in that. We were in that store at that crab place, and then people started walking in there with their guns and stuff, and I was like, "What kind of state? What is going on in here? What kind of meat is going on?" And it wasn't color either. It was black, white, Asian, Hispanic. It didn't matter. They all had their guns on their hips and they eat crabs, looking at their fingers. I was like, "Won't nothing go down in this small little town?" I will say this. I believe that we've been given the right to bear arms. In our country, I think that there needs to be more accountability and responsibility about having a firearm. I just think that yesterday was one of those situations where it's just outright wrong. I don't care what the situation is. You're being served a warrant. We're supposed to be peaceful with all men. We're supposed to deal with the police as they come. And hopefully let our judicial system work it out. And I think that's the fear. The judicial system has failed so many different people. In a sense, I think we just had a meeting. We went to a meeting with the district attorney where a young man had been incarcerated for 21 years and was not guilty.
And was innocent.
Was innocent. They had 10 of those 21 years. They had proof he was innocent, but because of bureaucratic red tape, they would not release him. How do you find out that somebody is innocent 11 years into their sentence? There's DNA evidence, and you don't let them out. So, this frustration is all the way around with our judicial system, with our laws, and, there needs to be a total overall. And that's why we got to vote. It's just crazy. I'm not just talking about voting presidential either, because everybody wants to vote in the presidential elections, but those midterms, and all the kinds of where we start to elect the people who are going to be in the electoral college, who make the difference, who push the envelope when it's time to vote for the president. See, a lot of people don't understand. They don't understand the electoral college. They don't know how the voting system works. They don't understand that we got to have the right senators and the right people in the House of Representatives and all that kind of stuff, so that when it comes time to pick our president, the people that are in those places vote the way we want them to.
Right. Absolutely.
When that we need to hold our senators and our congressmen accountable for sitting in that seat when it's time to vote.
Absolutely.
when the bills are there that they're present
Right.
to vote. You know what I'm saying? So most people don't even deal with that stuff. You know, it's very frustrating. It's very frustrating. But we definitely got to be praying, and we got to be active in our local government and in our national government to make sure that our voice is being heard. Because the lobbyists, the NRA, all the people, listen, we're fighting the money. We're fighting NRA and the money. The money is saying assault rifles aren't going anywhere.
Yeah, absolutely.
Bullets, guns, they're not going anywhere.
Right.
Because they spend the money, they lobby, people vote the way they want them to, and therefore, you know, the power is in us really getting to be a part of the political machine as well. And I thank God for the church, and I thank God for prayers. I got reading Bible in peace and singing and psalms and hymns, spiritual songs. But I also know that we need to be involved in our local government and in our communities. So let's go into something lighter. We are in back to school. It's the most wonderful time of the year. It's back to school time. Like Staples is packed, Walmart is packed, books is being bought, book bags is being bought. It is back to school time, and for
I'm not as happy as I usually am. I'm not as happy. You're singing a little hard. Every year, I'm usually happy at this time because this means the kids get to go back to school. I used to get a break. And it was time that it was needed. The summertime, they're in your face, they're laid up. It's like go to camp. They started getting older. It was like camp is your house, and
all their friends are over.
Right, you wanted school time. But now this year, I just was talking to Levi because he's excited. His son is going back to school, and I'm like, my babies. I'm done with the school district. I'm done with crazy teachers calling.
Let me just say this real quick. No more teachers, no more books, no more dirty looks. I don't have to deal with any high school teachers. I don't know counselors. I don't have to get up in the morning. The alarm's not going to go off. I'm not going to be forced to go anywhere that I don't want to go. Oh my God. And on August 22nd, what's happening, Pastor Trina?
She's going to college, and I'm not so happy about it. I mean, I want her to go out the nest and not stay in the nest forever. But I thought I had a little bit more time for her to stay with us.
Can we put Troy in her suitcase? I know he's going to school at Pierce and all
one
that.
at a time. We cannot have both of them leave. It will be traumatic.
Why not? Why can't they both leave?
Stress for me. I can't take both of them at a time. Like they said, everybody had a life crisis. We don't need me to have no life crisis dealing with both of them leaving at the same time. It's rough. I mean, I'm not going to say every teacher because I love teachers. They're amazing. I myself went to school for teacher. I was a teacher for a little bit. So I understand the pains of dealing with children and educating and wanting to help and all of that stuff. But I just feel like high school, in certain areas, certain districts, certain teachers, you know, it's just that the kids are very rough and tough to rear in classes. You don't have the support of the parents in all the time and taking the village to raise. You know, I remember you didn't just get in trouble with the teacher. It was any neighbor or family member that knew you. It was all of that. Nowadays, like, if you try to do something to the kids, not only is the kids going to get at you, so are the parents and some other people. So I get that. You know, it's really hard, but I think sometimes, you know, we want to be the friends of the students. And some of the teachers that I've experienced, you know, with Troy and Trina, they wanted to be their friends, and then they would get upset because they had leadership qualities, and they always wanted them to be the example. It was like, we just have to learn how to manage our classes better without trying to use a pawn in the classroom to help us. And I'm not saying you don't have certain examples that you can use, but it's like, you're going to go ahead and do what you need to do for your classroom and stop calling me about small stuff because you know you have access to me. You know, I was one of those, you were one of those, we were one of those parents that, you know, we would take care of stuff and make stuff happen, come to school if need be, but you're not going to abuse that. You're just going to go ahead if they did something, put them on detention, do what you need to do, take their privileges, do what teachers do, and run the classroom.
I feel you. I'm starting to feel your pain while we're sitting here. I can see that you have some feelings about that while you're sitting here. But now we're in a different position.
Different position. We don't have to
And
worry about it.
my biggest thing is like how to prep Trinae for not being with me. You know, how to prep Troy. Like yesterday was a prime example, and the kids get mad at Dr. Trina because she uses every situation like, see, this is how life is. And when things happen, so yesterday it was like, this is why I need y'all to call me, even if you're gonna be out late, if you're gonna be out with friends, because you never know if an active shooter. And they're like, Mom, come on, it's not an active shooter at McDonald's, it's not an active shooter at AMC, but it could be anywhere, you know. So they be like, oh, she is so drawn. Like,
but guess what? Those seeds that I have planted, they're gonna be glad that they're there, and they can pull from those seeds. Mr. Corey said, "Let them go." He said, "Pass the stop." And then Lauren said she's not too happy because the traffic is going to be a mess once they start going to school.
Well, I'll say that Lauren, are you serious? Are you talking about traffic?
I used to remember that when I used to go to Vanguard.
That's bad.
Stopping traffic was horrible.
So that's because, you know, you don't have no little ones, so you don't have nobody to send away that's been bugging you all summer long. So
But I still had ones to send away, and I hated the traffic.
Yeah, but listen,
time,
get them out of my house. Bye. You got to go. You got to go. And so here's the piece we have now is that how do you as a parent prepare this 17, 18, I'm grown, I live my life, prepare them for this new embarking on a new life. Like now, yeah, you moving away from us, but you're gonna have roommates. Like she got 3 roommates, another freshman and a sophomore. So how do you handle room space? You're gonna have 2 TVs. You know, you're gonna have 2 laptops. Who can you touch my stuff? Can you borrow my stuff? My iron board is off limits. How do you handle refrigerator duty? My eggs versus your eggs versus my pancakes versus your pancakes versus my cereal versus your cereal. Oh, you borrowed my belt. You borrowed my sneakers. You like I'm trying to get her ready for how to handle a space with somebody that she's never lived with before, and the etiquettes of sharing a space with somebody and not being selfish. Like let's talk about like what this part has been, because I think I'm telling her. But I don't know if she hear me. I think it falls on deaf ears sometimes.
Absolutely. This has been very challenging. I think this generation at large, I don't know, I'm not going to say for sure everybody, but I know when I was growing up, I welcomed information, and it was like, if I don't need it, I won't use it, or even just like choke the meat and spit out the bones. This generation is just like, let me do it. If I need you, I'll come to you. And a lot of times they come when it's just too late. So it's been very challenging with Trinae. It's the same thing I do with, you know, every moment I see something on a movie, I'm like, see, this is why he's going to call me. See, this is what can happen. I'm doing the same thing, you know, dropping the nuggets when I can. Sometimes she's like, Mom, leave me alone. I'm like, okay. And then other times, you know, I can squeeze it in and be like, yeah, you know, when you get your roommate, you're not going to be able to do this, or this might happen, or, you know, my new line is, welcome to adulthood, because she's been, you know, going to different places, getting her state ID and doing different things that, like, I usually, you know, I'm standing right. She's like, Mom, you want to go in? No, I don't. I'm going to sit right here. You can call me
Right.
if you need something, you know. So I've been kind of pushing her out the nest. It's been challenging. I think as she sees that she needs a little bit more help, she's a little bit more open to listening to what I'm saying. Like, she went to go get the state ID. I tried to tell her everything. I know what I'm doing. I got it now. It's okay. And I'm like, okay. So I let her go ahead. The next thing I know, she was calling me. Hey, they said this. You were saying this. And oh, no. Oh, you need me. Oh, okay, no problem. Mom, stop. See, that's why I don't call you. Oh, I'm sorry. You know, I'm just glad you called. So let's figure this out. You know, so I'm walking her through the steps. And then she's like, you know, I'm telling her everything she needs to do. And some of the things they just didn't get from school. You know, they took cursive writing away. You know, different things like that. So I'm telling her how to write out a check, which I've showed her before, because she, of course, I don't got that in schools. I got that in high school. They didn't get that in high school. So I'm showing her years before how to write out a check. It had no meaning to her, so she didn't really pay attention. You know, her ran through it. So now this is her first time filling out a check. So I'm showing her. She's like, well, why do I have to write everything out? Why can't I just write, you know, it in numbers? Why do I have to write in words? Because that's the system. Well, that's dumb. Well, listen, it's dumb, but it's the system. So, you know, I'm showing her this, that, and other. So she wrote out a check. The check she wrote out was the wrong dollar amount. So now she has to write out another check, you know, she want to verify, is this right? Because she's handing over her money. So then, you know, she calls me back and she's asking me something, and I'm like, oh, so, you know, they said what I said, the same thing, right? You know, so now she's listening, and then when it's all said and done, she's like, Mom, you sure you don't want to come in? I'm sure I don't want to come in. I'm here, you know, in case of emergency, but you got to handle this.
But see, that's the thing. Like, so every child, I believe, you know, I was saying something to Sister Sheila Ames the other day, and I was like, "There's no such thing as back to school." Like, I got a sermon written called "There's no such thing but called back to school." Is that kids are always in school,
Right.
even when they're home with you.
Absolutely.
They always ought to be in school. The Bible talks about admonishing our children, rehearsing things at the dinner table, putting it in the middle of their eyes, in front of their eyelids, and making sure they understand wisdom and knowledge. The whole book of Proverbs is about a father teaching his son what he's supposed to do. So I think there's never a back to school. You're always in school. You're in school all the time. You know, so simple things like making a budget out and then sitting your kids down and letting them see how a budget is done and how the money's broken down. Because most kids do not understand until they get their first job at Baskin Robbins or McDonald's, and then they get their first check and they talk about all they're going to do, and then they see taxes and FICA and this and that. They be like, "No, who are these people taking my money?" You know, and it's like, well, this is what your parents have to do every week. When you come ask me for a pair of sneakers, or you want to go to the movies, or you want to buy a pizza frivolously, you have no idea that you think I'm making all this money, but then I get this paycheck and it's out the door, and you don't, and you don't think about electric or that cable you watching or all them channels you want to have. You think about none of that, and I think that, you know, for us, we've always said, "Sit down, let's show you what to do," but like now it's like nothing we said is even recorded in their mind.
Right.
It's like we starting all over again
from scratch,
and I'm getting ready to send you to Cheney University on your own, and I'm stressed
because, like you said, my mom. One of the things that she did, which was amazing, my godmother told her, you know, because I always thought we were rich and, you know, had everything, because I never had them tell me we couldn't or that I wasn't able to get something. So literally, you know, obviously my dad has big stacks of money on the dresser, so, you know, I'm not poor. But she told her, let her do the budget with all your bills and tell her whatever money's left over she can have. But if there's no money left over, she has to be more cognizant of how she spends and stuff. And that was a life-changing lesson that my mom did way before I was working, but it stuck in my brain, and it wasn't like I lost it. Like, we did that with Trinae and Troy, and it was like, wow. But they still didn't get it. It was like...
No, because right after we got from the table, it's like,
can I have something?
So when I'm going to get my sneakers? Right. like I just showed you how much I got left. Right. You know, and because, you know,
they didn't get it.
Because I was the type of person that was like, I want to make sure my kids had at least a little bit better than what I had it. You know, we kind of spoiled them. Well, I kind of spoiled them.
I was going to say, change your program.
I kind of spoiled them because I want to make sure they had a little bit more than what I had. But now it's like, okay, now you got to go to school.
You kind of spoiled them?
Yeah, kind of. You think about it now, like, okay, so I looked in the room. Trenae's packing up, right? And
but kind of. Come on, be honest. And first step of deliverance is admitting. So kind of does not explain
so
what
let me,
you did.
So let me show you. So let's think about this for a minute. If it's not kind of, then why are they afraid to ask me for stuff?
Say it one more time.
I said, if it's not kind of spoiling, you have to force them to ask me.
I don't have to force them. I have to force one. I don't have to force them. One of them knows, and that's the one that you splurged to. And there is no kind of. I was saying to the other one that he doesn't understand the access that he really has, that literally he's a mini you, and you would not be able to tell him no. So you kind of by default kind of with him. Because he doesn't really ask so much, he doesn't utilize. With the other one,
she's the only one that asks.
Right, so there's no kind of with her. There is I have spoiled her rotten. Troy would have got the same spoiling, but he did not ask the way Trenae did.
And Shalise don't ask either.
Absolutely, Shalise doesn't ask. You know, so those two, I can see you saying kind of, because you kind of like, whenever they ask, hey, give them whatever they want. But with Trenae, there is a no kind of.
But that's usually what happened with the baby shop, right? Most of the baby children get pretty much whatever they want. They don't get the same beatings or punishments that the other kids get because the parents are tired. By the time you get to the baby girl. So I'm saying, so like now, I feel like she's the type of child that like, she's going to get to college and she's going to thrive. Because she likes her independence.
She likes to work hard.
She likes to work hard.
She wants money.
You know, she likes her money. She definitely likes her money. But it's like, so if you're on here and you have a college child, you know.
Lauren is true. She said this is good, but it's true.
If you have a college child, hit us up. Like, tell us what you did to prepare your child for roommates, and prepare your child for budget and money, and prepare your child for
Independence. Well,
independence and
being aware,
filling out forms, and just being aware. Like simple stuff like being aware of your surroundings. Like I taught my kids growing up to tell Troy, if you're walking down the street and it's a group of boys, 8 or 9 boys, and like they wilding out, cross the street. Don't even walk through that crowd. You know, or if you're on a dark street and you feel like you walking towards something, you get that eerie feeling. Turn around, go back. You know, walk down a lit street. You know, I taught them that stuff. Like, what are you teaching your child as it? Because for some of you, which I would be petrified if Trinae was going to Chicago.
Oh my goodness!
Or she's going to New York.
It would probably be
I'm thinking I should just go to Cheney. Like
it would probably be a fight because I think that I would have to put the mother in active, the motherhood in active, and be like, "I'm sorry, babe, you can't go." Because I mean, I know children will figure it out. God will grace them, but there's just certain things you don't have to go through. I teach people all the time. You do not have to get burnt to figure out that the fire is hot. Like, so let's work up to that. You know. Just because she's been protected and guarded, being a pastor's kid and, you know, being in the church, she's been in an environment where we kept her protected.
First of all, she's a county kid. Right. And I'm constantly like, you're not from the city. You're from the county.
Right.
You're from Delaware County. Now, I know Delaware County, y'all think y'all
she
tough
said,
and
I'm
all
from
that.
Yates, which is basically Southwest.
No, it's not basically Southwest.
No.
You're from the county. You're a county kid. You're not a city kid. You ain't had to grow up catching the sub and the L and walking through parts of North and West Philly and Uptown and Marinary, and you didn't go to movies in Shelton. We got a comment?
Yes.
Talk to
Mr.
me.
Corey said he did not listen at all to what I guess they taught him. And I think that's the generation. Every, parent says that, like, you don't listen, you don't have it the way we had it. I was talking to Elder Shirley earlier, and she was saying that, like, we're dealing with, her mom used to pick cotton, my grandma used to pick cotton, and it was kind of like, their stories are like, your life is so easy, and you didn't have to do anything. We were picking cotton. We were out walking, 7 miles doing this, where, we tell our kids, y'all get driven everywhere. We used to be on the step of the bus, so every, generation, it gets a little easy, but they just don't listen. And he said now that he is suffering because he refused to listen. So there's a lot of suffering going on.
Yeah.
Lauren says that her mom has taught her that about being alone. Her mom still has fear when she travels. When she went out to college, she was really concerned. Her dad was cool, but her mom always was concerned and made sure she talked to her every day.
Yeah, so I'm, I'm doing the whole inspection thing. Like, I'm interviewing her roommate, both of them.
She just sent me a picture. She has a second roommate. So
she got both pictures now?
Yes, and she has a second one.
Good deal. So I think I'm gonna have like little hello gifts for them. Like I'm gonna get 2 little hello gifts for her roommates or whatever.
That's nice.
Something she ain't thinking about. But
Right.
you want to say hello to her and
Right.
to their roommates and thank them for us sharing the space together and trying to set the year up right. While y'all are doing all the packing up, I'll be putting oil on every door.
Right.
Every door. In the name of Jesus. In the name of Jesus.
Right.
Father, thank you. This room is covered, consecrated.
Blessing them. Teresa's on here. We got a college student, so maybe she can chime in if you're a college student on here also to let us know, like, what you wish your parents would have told you, or what information did they tell you that you ignored that you probably
Dries,
should
that'd be great.
listen to. So if you're a college student on here, we're just talking about kids going away to college and how to prepare them, talking to the parents, trying to figure out like what they have or haven't listened to, as well as if you're a college student on here, what kind of advice did
Yeah,
they not give you, or did they give you?
Because let me tell you. The thing about this is, right, she got a whole lot of advice for us.
Absolutely.
Who's gonna be walking this dog when I'm gone? Like, who's gonna be picking
Go
up
get
this
your
poop?
ice water.
Who gonna get your ice water?
When I'm
Who gonna be
gone.
getting your remote, picking up your remote for you? Who gonna be changing the channel and picking up your shoes and putting away the dish? Who gonna be washing the
Who are
dishes?
the chores?
I'm gonna be fine. I'm gonna be fine. As a matter of fact, it's not gonna be dirty. Yes, it's not gonna be dirty. When I wash the dishes gonna be washed for the whole week. I only gotta wash 2 plates. God Almighty, Hallelujah!
Yeah,
He
you
come
got
by
paper
my
plates.
side.
You throw
I
out.
do 2 plates. Yeah, paper
Yes.
plate. You throw them paper plates
And I
out.
just wash
You throw your
dishes
paper
when I
cup.
cook.
Yeah, because my thing is like, I won't have 25 red cups
All
in my
over.
living room as if the cup you just used wasn't good enough to use again.
They're a lot better now.
No, they're not.
They are.
No, they're not. You got to pick up behind them.
Shanice, I said you're a lot better. Daddy said you're not. I think they're doing a lot better. Now, they don't always pick up after themselves, but it's not 25 red cups.
It's 15. 15 red cups.
Stop it.
So here's the thing, like, so I have a dishwasher and all that. I'm fine. I don't need your advice on how to make sure that my house is running the way it's supposed to. But you're gonna need a lot of advice on what happens when you wash the dishes at your dorm room and plates get left in the sink.
I would say that I think we missed a good window due to Troy being in the hospital, being sick, and different things transpiring in our life to catch them. I think when I was trying, and they didn't work as early as we did. So I felt like I missed a window of them trial and error. Working on a job and then being able to see, because as soon as they started working, it was like, oh, I don't need that as much. They start realizing I gotta manage my money or work stuff out. So it would have been amazing. I started working, when I got my working papers at 14, even before my working papers, I was working at 14. So, my mom had 14, 15, 16, and I was an entrepreneur at the age of 10. So, I was braiding hair and had my own business and also had other businesses. I was selling jewelry. So I had an opportunity to test the waters with people, with management of money, so that my mom could plant seeds and work it out. By the time Troy and they started working, they were like 17. It's like, I'm going to be 18. You can't tell me nothing. I'm grown. It was too late, to really give them the download. So I still did it, but I don't think it was almost like an exercise that they didn't have to do. It was like homework or a worksheet. They just saw it and was like, oh, that's cute, but they weren't utilizing the value of the exercises because they thought they were grown by then. So that was a lot to it. So I would suggest to every parent, giving them an opportunity. I always, try to make them work for little things, try to put business ideas in their head. They just didn't have the same drive, and I get it. Every child is not the same. They didn't have the same drive that Pastor Dr. Troy and I had. When it came to business, money, making stuff happen. So a lot of times they just didn't take it. I tried to set them up on a couple things. It's like, why should I work that hard? It's just gonna come to me. It's like, yeah. So I'm interested in. I know Trinae's gonna pick up the phone and call. Even Troy, at his college and his internship. He's coming home. He's sharing. He's opening up. But when you were trying to tell him things before he got to that point, sometimes it's almost like you gotta let him go through it and learn it. They have to be receptive to what you're giving, or else it's just gonna cause them to be rebellious.
So here, let me give you the Huffington Post gives the top 10 things that a college kid should be talked to about on their way going into college. Number 1, just because you can doesn't mean you should. Most of them dream of, I'm on my own, I can do what I want, I can go where I want. Listen.
Stay up all night.
Yeah, I'm gonna stay up all night. That's not a good practice. You can't just do whatever you want whenever you want. Number 2, everyone doesn't have your best interests at heart. Sad but true.
Oh.
Everybody at school, from your teachers to your classmates to anybody, everybody's
what I'm
not
worried
your
about
best
them.
friend.
That's what I'm worried about for both of them, because they both have kind, loving hearts, and they're not naive, but I think that they give a lot. They have a spirit of forgiveness and mercy, kind of coming from their father. Not that I don't forgive, but there's a gift when you can just like, when his handwriting's on the wall, when people show you who they are, you know, you got to believe them. So I really hope that number 2 is not either of their downfall, because people can hurt you and drag you through the mud and like pierce your heart and get you to a place where you become very stone and frigid and build up a wall and miss opportunities of people that are assigned to you that should be with you, just because you went through those experiences.
Be your own food police is number 3.
Wow.
They said the freshman 15s are real.
Yeah.
So you just don't eat whatever you want to eat. Like just don't eat whatever you want to eat. You need to police the food that you eat. You need to police your quantities on. Yo, I gained weight when I went to school.
Listen.
I gained a lot of weight. And you could easily get depressed when you come in 185 pounds and then you look in the mirror and you 225.
Absolutely. Well, they have fillers in the food, so that's the other thing. Because they're trying to make sure that it lasts through the night, you're not starving. They know it's a college student, you don't have money. They don't want you off campus, you know, trying to get food.
But it all depends now, because like, so when we were at Westchester didn't have Chick-fil-A and Salad Works and all. Like now you can literally, they got Chick-fil-A on campus.
Okay.
Like, you know what I mean? So pressurized cooked chicken and all that. You can actually swipe your meal card to get that instead of going to the cab. Like when I was up at Kutztown, I was forced to eat pork loin and mashed potato and green beans with fillers in it, and you ate everything that you was hungry, like them burgers and them fried, like you ate that every day, sandwiches and everything. You know, we're gonna tell the story about the hoagie. And
You didn't already put it out there.
no, we gotta do it. We gotta do it. Here we go.
No, you ain't gonna say
No, here we go.
story and
You ready for
then-
this one? It says, if you calculate what each class costs, you'll be less likely to skip class. That's a lie.
I don't know about that. Because when they're kids, they're not worried about that price. And you know what? Now I'm glad you said that. It's amazing. I know when I went to college and I was filling out my, you know, FAFSA forms and financial aid and, you know, dealing with the loans and stuff like that. You know, you went to financial advisor and they would just tell you certain things and tell you information, and you would sign off on it. Use all these papers to read, and you didn't read all that stuff, and you skimmed over it and then you signed it, and you really didn't understand. If I don't know if everybody really understood in full totality what they were signing. But now when Trinae was going through the process, as Troy was going through the process, you had to literally go through an interactive live on the web where they had to answer questions, and it was sessions where it made them understand that, like, even if you don't finish school, you drop out after your first or second semester, you're going to be responsible for those loans.
So let me just jump in here real quick. So I have a friend whose son went to school, and he made his son sign a promissory note because he had to sign for loans, and was like, if you don't go to school, you're gonna pay me back my money.
Right.
You're gonna mess up my credit.
Right.
You're gonna mess up my life.
Right.
Because I'm stuck with all these bills from loans that I signed for from you that you won't pay.
Well, I know one of the administrators at Cheney said that, like, they had to revamp stuff because a lot of kids, and that's where they had got the, you know, bad stigma or bad press of them being like the 13th grade, was because people were coming there with bad practices, not going to class, staying in their room, feeling like I'm independent, I can do whatever I want, not working, not doing any of that, and then thinking, okay, you know, it is what it is. And then what would happen is they would have to now leave, and they didn't have this time off, and they couldn't get into jobs. They weren't competitive with the people that were working. So now you unemployed, but you still got loans that you got to pay.
Yeah.
Like, and they really didn't understand that, you know. And I think that kids don't understand their financial responsibility. It's like, I'm going to school, so everybody should just, you know, beat to my drum.
Well,
because it's about me.
that leads me to number 5. And I think this is very important. I think this is important in life. Ask for help if you need it.
Right.
Like, if you struggling,
Right.
like we're talking today about you about to get a syllabus. And that syllabus is going to document everything you're going to have in that class under that teacher. And I don't think anybody is ready for their first 5 syllabuses.
No.
You get that one syllabus and you're like, okay, that's a lot of work for this class. And then you get to the next class, they give you a syllabus. The next class, they give you a syllabus. Next class, you get this, and you're like, yo, I got 5 that's the same way. And I'm supposed to manage. I'm supposed to manage all of this?
Care that you had
No. No.
report for English and
No.
then do your history report.
No, no,
Like,
and
it doesn't work that
they
way.
don't-
Like, they don't get it. Like, and I think in high school sometimes they've been done a disservice because they were able to slide through the cracks, give stories. You know, you have the funny commercials about my dog ate my homework, but you got every excuse in the book that the teachers accept because they want them to be able to graduate. But then when they get to college, it's like that teacher don't care. And I've been always trying to get my kids to understand, like, don't just take people at their word. Document everything that goes on. So, you know, when you talk to a teacher, get an email of what they said. Don't just say, oh, they said it was fine, I don't have to worry about it. Then when the time comes, they forgot, they get amnesia, or let's say they are replaced with a substitute, or anything happens, and now you're saying, my grade, I'm gonna fail because the teacher told me that I could turn this in late, and now it's a 0 and it's a big part of the grade. Get emails, get that stuff documented. Make sure you follow up. It's not their responsibility to come back. So she ain't saying nothing, so I ain't gotta worry about it.
Well, just like the conversation we had about withdrawing from a class versus dropping a class.
Right.
Like, and try to help her understand what it means. Like, if you get to a class, and we've had this conversation, everybody has this conversation, if you happen to have a
Changing
professor
the class.
or a professor who has a very heavy dialect, you know, or they're not from this country, have a very heavy dialect, and you have a really hard time understanding them,
Right.
you know, that's not a prejudice to say I'm gonna take a different class. Like, if you're a freshman, you got to know that any encumbrances to you getting information is gonna be on you, because you could have withdrew from that class early, you know,
Right.
or whatever the case be, and now
Or
you
got to the
stuck. And
point
it's like
where-
it is what it is. Like, it's no offense, I'm not upset, I'm not angry, but like, I know I'm gonna need this class. Maybe or knowing what classes to take later versus the class to take
What
early
classes
on.
you should be taking together. This is gonna be a heavy load. It's gonna be hard. So don't take that with another heavy load hard class. Take it with some easy stuff. You know, like people don't listen. I remember even, you know, with Trinae, and I get it because sometimes you just want to prove and show. Like she was in school and they were putting her in honors classes, and I knew my baby could do the honors work, but she was excited because that was a badge of honor. Like, I'm in honors classes. But I was like, baby, you want your transcript and your GPA to be amazing. Take easy classes. Like, you done got all the other stuff out the way. Take the easy stuff so your grades
Some of your
can look
electives can be-
awesome.
right.
Yeah, electives. And stop taking all this hard stuff just to prove that, like, I'm smart and I'm in these honors classes, because what's going to happen is possibly your grade point average can go down. You didn't fail, but you don't have the best grades to go to school. She didn't want to hear it. Now she's looking back, and that's why she had to make some of the choices she had to make, because she was good with the SATs, but her grade point average wasn't exactly where they wanted it. So they had to like work through her for some programs. But I think when you're younger, you're not listening to that. You just want to prove a point of, I'm smart or I know this, opposed to taking the information.
So number 6 is work first, play later.
Yeah, I don't think
Work
any college
first,
students do that.
but no,
But they should.
they
I'm
should.
not saying you shouldn't.
They should. The mindset is, if I'm going to go to college, I got to get. So like, it's crazy because the athletes are given study hall. Like, you got to go to study hall. Like, so even though you're gonna practice, you got gym time, you got study hall, and then what people don't get about athletes is the coaches actually are assigned to go around to the classrooms of the students to make sure they're in class.
Okay.
Like, they'll make sure that the kids. So athletes have, and then what's crazy about athletes is that they have to travel and still get their work
Right.
done. And
Absolutely.
I can't even understand how, you know, now here we are talking about a Division II level, but like a Division I level where they traveling on TV and all that. I'm like, how do these dudes play these heavy games, do all this news coverage, and still have
Are you
to?
automatically given tutors when you're in a Division I and you're traveling like
They
that?
have a whole team of people.
That's working with you.
Yeah,
Help you.
and you don't listen. You don't even eat with everybody. Like, your food is different. Like, you get steaks and stuff. Like major, like Duke is like they living. They getting all the help they need.
You're working hard too, so it's worth it.
Yeah, I mean, you're playing not an NBA schedule, but half of an NBA schedule with the pressures of being the top person. But the average kid that goes to school doesn't get the college help that those athletes academically, they get everything they need. So like, I remember like my first couple of days, like it was like Kutztown was a party school when I first got to Kutztown. Westchester wasn't like Kutztown. Like, Kutztown was a part because there was nothing up there. It's right between Allentown and Reading. There's nothing up there. So it was like the Cliffs. They had keg parties, and it was nothing up there to do. Either you was gonna be having sex, or you was gonna be partying. That's why two of the things that sent people home was bad grades and babies.
I think that's on the
That's what I said everybody else. And it was like, so you need to know, you need to go up there with the mindset, especially depending upon where you're at. Like, cause like when you go to a school that's like in a like a country setting where like you come outside and it's like crops growing over there, there's nowhere to go. And you're a freshman, you don't have no car, there's nowhere to go.
Right.
You have to be careful of the choices you make, the people you hang around. You know, people thought the liquor control board was a joke until the LCB hit you with that $500 fine because you was walking up the street drunk in the middle of the night and they locked you up. You know what I mean? So like, I don't think get your work done. You
Yes,
are up there
absolutely.
to
And
do
I think,
your work.
I think one thing that might help, even in the high schools, and they may do it, you know, I haven't been teaching in high school. I used to teach in early ed, and it's so long ago, but with special education and everything. And I think that literally, when you go to college, there's the mindset of when you ask for help for tutoring, like you're doing it because you're failing, or like I'm trying to think of the right mindset words to use. It's like you shy away from it because you don't want to kind of admit that there's a struggle when you should be doing it way before it's gotten to that point. It shouldn't be like I'm failing now, I'm going to get tutoring or help. It should be when you see you need help, you can still be getting A's and B's, but you're struggling because it can turn on you so fast.
Right.
You need to be getting that, being okay with getting help. Help doesn't mean failure. I think that's the mindset. Like when I get a tutor, that means I'm deficient or I have a learning issue, or that's the mindset that a lot of kids take. That if I gotta go to a tutor, there's a problem. I'm not like everybody else because everybody doesn't have tutors. Opposed to understanding it's almost like therapy. It's okay to get therapy. It's okay to get a tutor.
And I think the biggest problem that may happen is when you got a student that was stellar in high school
Absolutely.
that now has to ask for a tutor.
Right.
Because college is totally different than high school.
And where were
It's
you
totally different
stellar
than high
at? Were you stellar at a school that didn't have the requirements?
Either
Nowhere
way, there's some
near.
kids that really excel in high school and didn't have to do a lot of work.
Right.
And they get to college and realize I actually gotta do this work myself.
Right.
So here's the next one. I think this is deep. Arriving at college is exciting for you, but it is emotional for your parents. So let your mom make your bed before she leaves. That's what it says. And it says, I can't speak for
Wait,
father.
read it again.
It says, arriving at college is exciting for you, but it is emotional for your parents. So let your mom make your bed before she leaves. And it says, I can't speak for fathers, but I know from a mom's perspective that dropping off a child at college for freshman year is very emotional. I used to think it was because I would miss my son, and I did miss him, but the real reason it was so emotional for me was because I didn't know if he'd be happy, make friends, or be successful academically. I had no reason to no reason to think he wouldn't be happy, make friends, and be successful, but for the first time in his life, I wouldn't be there to see how it was going.
Absolutely.
So let your mom make the bed in your dorm room. It will allow her to feel that she can still do something to help you make the transition, and it will give her an opportunity to wipe away a tear or two when you aren't looking.
That's so good. Like, Sinead, if you're watching this, let me make that bed, girl. Let me make that bed. You know, I joked with her. I was like, I'm not leaving until late. Like, I just want to leave here. I just don't want to leave. Like, can I spend like the first night? She's like, no, you're getting out. I'm not going to spend the night, of course, but I know it's going to be emotional because as a parent, you want to be there. And I'll say a mother. I don't want to be biased because I know there's some dads out there that want to. But as a mother, you have been providing from them before they even came into the world. Like you made sure they had their nutrients. You supported them. Like your body was created to give them food and substance. So I never understood why, and I do now. My mom would like call me and be like, I just need to hear you. Like I can hear when there's something wrong. And she's like, if I hear something, then now I have to put my eyes on you. So I need to make sure you're okay.
I'm not worried about that because Trinity already knows that I'm going to be on campus. Like, she's gonna come to her dorm. I'll be sitting on the step like, hey, I just was up this way. I stopped through. Let's go to the market. Let's get some food. Let's do something. I'm gonna just show up on campus. My man is a Sigma. So the first Sigma party, like I'm going with him, I'm gonna be in the joint, probably like trying to mark hands and stuff. Somebody say something?
Yes.
Go ahead, go
Laura
ahead.
said,
Go ahead.
my mom and stepmom went to Walmart and decorated my room. Laugh out loud. My dad went to shoot pool at the same time.
How you might believe it?
Very different mindsets.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean he didn't have his moment. He just did it differently. Like he might have been in pool, like with a little tear here and there, or holding it back, or later on. But you know, mothers are like in the moment. I gotta make sure you have everything you need. Where you know, Dad's gonna miss the pastor. Dr. Troy is going to miss her so much. He's happy she's going, but he's going to miss her so much.
Yeah, I'm going to miss her. I'm definitely going to miss her. But I've been giving them their independence over the last 2 years. Like, I've been getting ready for this. I think one of the biggest things that should be on this list is that how do you handle parents realizing that their job is done and they got to find a new one,
Right.
so to speak. Like, the reason why mom is in there making the bid is because, like, okay, now when I go home, like, what am I now going, especially for people who didn't have jobs or businesses or was
I can definitely see
entrepreneurial,
that
they just
vision.
doing nothing but taking care of this kid. Like, what's now
Now
going to
gonna
happen?
happen.
Because most times the dads are out working or doing something,
Right.
so they're not
Stay
there. The
home
mother's
mom.
dropping them off at soccer, dropping them off at football, and now that life is over. What do you do? You know, so that's important.
That's not my problem. I have a lot to do.
You have a lot to do.
But
So
my problem is just the
as we round this up, here's number 8. Bring a picture. They're telling the students, bring a picture of your pet. I know that some kids bring a picture of their family when they go away to college, and some don't want to appear to be that sentimental. But everyone can freely admit to missing their dog.
Yeah, my
or
dog is
cat.
gonna miss her.
And when they are away at school, it's nice to be able to look up from the books and see happy furry faces and family pets.
That would definitely help her.
I think that's great.
What is she gonna do with Roxy? Because Roxy's already recognizing.
Roxy's going up there with me
that
on campus when I go. Roxy's going to be in the car with me when we go up there.
Roxy
So.
needs that because Roxy can tell she's leaving. Because Roxy knows every time you fold clothes.
Or put it in a bag,
Or put it in the bag.
somebody's
It's time
going
to
somewhere.
go. So she knows that Trenae's folded clothes in her room. Like she will stay in a hot room without the air conditioner, laying in her bed like it's a seance in there. Like I'm expecting her when Trenae leaves for Roxy to be like,
Yeah, I think she
in the
probably was there for a
room.
couple of days.
whining because
couple days.
she's really.
All right, here's number 9. Savor every second. It's going to go by real fast. Going to go by real fast. And then number 10, call home
Please,
as much as possible.
please call home. Like, don't make your parents, especially your mom, have to be like the grand stalker. Like, just call. I just want to know you're okay. This is what I'm dealing with. Not so much what am I going to do when she's gone. I don't have the ability to, on a day-to-day basis, check in and make sure she's good visually. So give me the voice.
Now listen, I'm the practical parent. I am Pastor Troy, yes. I'm Dr. Troy, yes. But I don't care what state you in, call home. And I'm going to say that for just to say it. Because one time on campus, we were at a campus party. I got into a fight with some guys from New York. I was drunk. I mean, stupid, ridiculous drunk. And I called my dad. And I was like, Dad, these blankety blanks, I'm going to get these blankety blanks from New York. He was like, okay, son. He was like, you all right? I said, no, Dad, they blankety blank. I was drunk, cussing, and everything. And then when I woke up the next morning, my buddy was like, yo, you called your dad last night. I was like, I called. He said, you called your dad. He was cussing. I tried to stop you, but you was cussing. He was like, what you was going to do? I was like, oh, my God. So then I called my dad. He's like, yes, son, you was a little intoxicated. I need you to take better care of yourself up there. He was cool about it. Like, he was real. Because I know my man was like, yo, boss, you was tripping. Like, you was tripping. I'm going to call my squad from Philly. We about to tear this whole campus up. He said, you was just talking. Wow, he was reckless. And my dad just let me go because he just wanted to hear my voice. He realized I was upset. He realized something had happened. He finally got out of me what went down or whatever. And then when I called him back, he talked to me like his dad. Like, you got to take care of yourself today. You can't get in no fights. Stuff. You up there do your work. He did all of that. And then after that was done, I was like, cool, Dad. And we never talked about it again. I wonder how my dad feels about that. We never talked. We talked about that one time. I'm glad that my mom didn't answer the phone. Like, oh my God.
He's probably just letting you handle it.
Listen, my mom had all the intercessors up there. She would do a bottle of oil. She had the choir. They'd been singing on the quad. Like, it was great. But that's 10 things. That's the 10 things that they are suggesting. The HuffPost suggested that we should talk to our kids about before they go away to college. Listen, it's been a great show. We've had a great conversation today. Thank you for watching and commenting and being a part of it. Some of you are going to rewatch this on the back end. This is Embrace Radio with Dr. Troy and
Dr. Trina Davis.
And we are excited to be talking to you about things you need to get your arms around. Embrace Radio. Wrap your arms around the topics, situations, circumstances, whether it's current events, whether it's life matters, whether it's marriage, whether it's handling your money. You need to embrace life at a whole nother level. This is the season for you to really get your life together and embrace what matters. WPEB 88.1 FM, Embrace Radio. Thank you for listening, and we'll check you out the next time on Embrace Radio.